Darryle Buchanan, A Childhood Shattered. My memories of the 1967 rebellion in Detroit. Before we moved to Virginia Park, I barely noticed anything beyond my friendships. I grew up surrounded by Filipino, Chaldean, and white kids. We visited each other's homes and played together, and I didn't see much difference for a long time. But when we moved to Virginia Park, everything changed. The harsh realities of life hit me in a way I wasn't prepared for. It wasn't that the new environment was terrible. Suddenly, I found myself in a densely populated community. My father's parents owned a two-family apartment, and right next to us was an apartment building. It was like that all along the street. Multi-unit homes, four flat buildings, small apartments, and large apartments. The number of people was overwhelming, especially coming from quieter neighborhoods like Conant Gardens and Highland Park. But it was also exciting. There were so many kids to play with and in trouble with. There was always something going on. But then, that was also when I first noticed poverty. Growing up, I hadn't seen people struggle financially. Suddenly, it was all around me. Some of my friends had parents who barely got by. It wasn't like I felt separate from them. It was just something I noticed. We were all friends with no distinction, but it changed how I saw the world. Then there was the police. Before moving to Virginia Park, I had barely seen a police car. Now, their presence was constant, and their flashing lights were a regular sight. My first encounter with them happened when I was around 9 or 10 years old. A few of us had found a pack of cigarettes, and we were running around trying to find matches to light them. We were playing in the alley when the cops rolled up. "What are you boys doing?" they yelled before chasing us for trying to smoke. I couldn't understand it. Why was all this over a few cigarettes? I was scared, but I didn't see the big deal. Couldn't they have just taken them from us and told us to go home? Things quickly escalated in that neighborhood. I wasn't even 12, but I was starting to realize that life here was different. My mom warned me about 12th Street, saying stay off of it. But the more she told me to stay away, the more I was drawn to it. I had to walk on 12th Street anyway when I went to St. Agnes, my school. The first time I walked down 12th Street, I was amazed. It was alive. It was stores, theaters, restaurants. It was a bustling, self-contained world. Everything you needed was right there. On our block alone, we had a pharmacy, a barbershop, a hardware store, a lounge, a market, and even a dairy. As a kid, I thought it was paradise. But beneath that energy, tensions were building up. Then came that momentous morning in July. I was an altar boy at St. Agnes and had woken up early to prepare for the 8 a.m. Mass. I could hear people outside and thought, wow, they're partying early today. I even smelled smoke and thought someone was barbecuing. But when my mom called and told me not to go to church and that something was happening on 12th Street, I stepped onto our porch. The street was alive, but in a different way. People were moving up and down, confused and agitated. The looting hadn't started yet, but it was only a matter of time. I'll never forget my mom coming home that day in a police car. Usually, she took the bus to work at Henry Ford Hospital, but everything was different that morning. My mind was racing as I stood on the porch, watching her step out of the car. I'd seen too many cops in our neighborhood. I'd heard too many stories, and now my mom was in a police car. It made me worried about how people would see us. It was a strange time. My friends and I snuck over to 12th Street to see what was happening. The streets were packed with people, so many, and all angry. I understood why. We had been living under constant police surveillance. The feeling of weight, a feeling of weight of their eyes on us. My early run-ins with them, like being chased for smoking cigarettes, were minor compared to what older boys had to face. I saw guys who used to be the coolest in the neighborhood, those who wore their crisscross sweaters and mohair slacks, come back from Vietnam broken. They weren't the same, and they were angry too. 12th Street, once lively, was becoming unrecognizable. I watched buildings burn, felt the chilling rush of when a structure collapsed, and even saw rats scurry out of the flames. The smell of burning wood and plastic hung in the air like a heavy, inescapable blanket. And the sirens, they never ceased. It was a constant, mournful wail as if the city itself was crying. I spent most of those days on our porch, watching the world unfold. The National Guard and federal troops moved into our neighborhood, enforcing martial law. There were curfews, lights out at night, and tanks rumbling up and down the streets. One night I saw my mom leave for work again, this time in an unmarked black car. It sped down Virginia Park with no lights on it, as if trying to hide from the chaos around it. I kept going back to 12th Street, even though it got smaller each time. I remember watching Dr. Maben's pharmacy being looted. He was a black man, a pillar of the community, and I stood there pleading with people not to destroy his business, but the chaos had taken over. It didn't matter that it was black or that it was owned by a black. Black business, everything fueled the madness. Looking back, I realized they were after drugs. As the rebellion continued, I felt a strange mix of fear and understanding. I had grown up with police harassment. I had seen friends beaten, humiliated, and treated like criminals. I had learned the rules of survival from older boys and the Black Panthers, how to talk to police, how to stand, and how to make yourself seem small and unthreatening. But now, it was more than just survival. It was about something more significant. This wasn't a riot, not in the way people typically. This wasn't a riot, not in the way typically. Again, this wasn't a riot, not in the way typical. This wasn't a riot, not in the way people typically think of riots. This was a rebellion against a system that had kept us down for so long. In the aftermath, nothing was the same. Once so vibrant, 12th Street was a shell of its former self. The sirens had stopped, but the damage was already done. The city had changed forever, and so had I.